Hello and welcome. Let's begin with a bow, presencing as we bow together, although we may be in different places and in different time zones, in different moments in time. In this moment, you are connecting to this group, to your classmates, to this program, in this moment. I hope you have been learning a great deal in this course so far as you've started to study radical acceptance, really inviting in all of the different aspects of your experience. How do we welcome that too? How do we befriend this part too? And how do we come in deeper connection with ourselves so there's truly a seat at the table for all of our different parts? In the intensive, we worked a bit with touch and go, leaning into our experience, getting close to it, and expanding our attention outward. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about naming the demons practice. This is also known as working with hindrances or obstacles to practice. Many of the elements of what you have studied so far are building blocks or pieces that are very relevant to our task of naming the demons. As we bring in the understanding of radical acceptance, and Tara Brach talks about the two wings, the wing of clear seeing also can be considered precision, also the wing of kindness or compassion. How are we bringing both to our experience? This really starts to formulate a concrete method of being able to relate or bring in, invite in all of these different aspects. So how do we begin to work with our challenges in meditation, our difficulties? Sometimes our practice can be deeply nourishing. We can easily settle, can find a richness, a spaciousness, a joy. And sometimes we come to the cushion and it is very challenging. We may notice body aches or different emotional experiences that really have our attention, or perhaps just a busyness of mind, wanting to schedule and plan our day. The task with working with the hindrances is learning how to invite in and befriend more experience, more aspects of the self. Sometimes we find in our meditation that we wish different parts of our experience didn't exist. Oh, it can often be future fantasizing. My life would be so different if I just had blank. You can fill in the blank for yourself. That master's degree. That car. That house. that body. Our hindrances can arise in terms of what we want, but also what we want to avoid. Certain fears, doubts. So let's take a moment here, coming into contact with your physical body, sensing into what you notice. Scanning your emotional landscape. Noticing any sensations that are present, thoughts that are alive. Taking some time to see what's here. And seeing if you can lean in, invite in a bit more of your experience. Each of these aspects arrive with an opportunity to more deeply recognize, come into contact, and befriend parts of ourselves. In the Naming the Demon practice, Jack Kornfield talks about certain shamanic practices where if you can name it by its true name, it no longer has power over you. This can be labeling a thought as thinking, like in our guided meditation this week. Recognizing, oh, there my mind goes again on its train, and returning. In the Naming the Demons practice, there's many different ways of naming, many different styles, depending on your own state of mind. If you were to begin to recognize your own state of mind right now, how would you define it? If you could just use one word, how would you define your experience? For me, I would say sleepy, tired. The word exhausted wants to float in there. What about for you? What are your thoughts right now? What's on your mind? What do you notice in your sense body? Your sensations, your emotions. So our task becomes to identify and to name. If I start to study my tiredness right now, I take a little time. The way that I work with my tiredness really is dependent on the cause. So sometimes sleepiness as a hindrance could really be directly related to being sleepy. And sometimes it may be a form of resistance. A resistance to the present moment, potentially a resistance to the task at hand, potentially a longing to escape, to not be with oneself. For me, in this moment, my tiredness is rooted in it being a very long day for me. I taught all day today, and so as I approach the end of my day, I'm noticing that my tiredness has escalated in direct response to my felt sense of simply being tired. And being a mom with a 10-month-old baby who mostly sleeps through the night, but likes to wake up really early. So the instruction is to name tired. But we name to not reject or be removed from part of our experience, but to come to know it, to invite it in, to study it more deeply. An important part of the naming the demons practice is our own curiosity, our own study. What is it like to simply be with our hindrance? To invite it in, to invite it to the table. So there's not a resistance and a fighting, splashing water on my face, stretching, running laps around my house, drinking a coffee. But there's an invitation in and a curiosity. Oh, sleepy. What's this all about for me right now? So for you, what is your hindrance? These different pieces of ourselves are often simply asking for acceptance, to be invited into being with. And as we sink into our mode of being, we come into contact with our prajna, our basic intelligence, wisdom. In our capacity to observe, mindfulness arises naturally. We're not trying to fix or change ourselves based on an idea. So, naming the demons. I wonder for you what word or what concepts the word demons evokes. That word can have very different meaning in a Christian tradition as compared to a Buddhist tradition. Demons can evoke ideas of Satan and sin, and that's very different than what we mean in the Buddhist concept. So, demons is an ancient word. I hear my little baby crying. He's with his dad. I might have to pause for a moment. I will record this in 2 parts. I'll be right back.